On today's show, the San Diego Padres have no shortage of headlines over these last few years, but this might be their most shocking yet. Mike Shildt retiring for real. We're going to talk about that, the fallout from this, my initial reaction to the news, and answering some of your questions and comments. Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Padres, your daily San Diego Padres podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to an edition of Locked On Padres podcast, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day for Monday, October 13th. As always, I'm your host with sometimes, but certainly not always, the most, Javier Reyes. You may be familiar with some of my baseball-related work on other sites. I've been covering the team for nearly 6 years now, not just for this podcast, though, but various other sites like Just Baseball, chief among them. Today's episode, guys, is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the FanDuel app today. And today's show, guys, we got a big, important one. What was supposed to just be not a run-of-the-mill, but your classic Monday mailbag episode, and we will be getting into some of your questions and comments, instead has turned into breaking news. Mike Shildt out as manager for the Padres. Going to talk about all my immediate reactions and then potentially save some more for tomorrow because this is a big, big story. And then, of course, like I said, we'll get into some of your questions and comments. Let me just start by reading from the Athletic article from Dennis Lin that just puts it out, the news, basically, right? Manager Mike Shildt on Monday announced his retirement from the San Diego Padres about 2 weeks after his team lost to the Chicago Cubs in 3 games in the National League Wild Card Series. Shildt, the first Padres manager to oversee back-to-back 90-win campaigns, is the 5th full-time manager to depart under President of Baseball Operations AJ Preller. His exit comes just 4 years after he was fired by the St. Louis Cardinals following a 90-win season and a 1-game trip to the postseason. Shildt was under contract with the Padres through 2027. And quotes, "We would like to congratulate Mike on a successful career and thank him for his significant contributions to the Padres and the San Diego community over the last 4 years, including consecutive 90-win seasons and 2 postseason appearances as manager," Preller said in a statement. "His dedication and passion for the game of baseball will leave an impact on our organization, and we wish him the best in his next chapter. The search for a new manager of the Padres will begin immediately with the goal of winning a World Series championship in 2026. Shildt, 57, went 183 and 141 with San Diego and 252 and 199 since first becoming the Cardinals manager in 2018. I mean, where to start? The still being under contract through 2027 that's one part. The fact that Mike Shildt is 57 years old. It's not like he's a super old guy, right? The fact that this is the winningest manager, not necessarily in Padres total history, but in terms of recent history under AJ Preller, and for it to be another manager that leaves back-to-back 91 seasons, which I don't even know if the Padres have ever done before. I am just, folks, I'm going to be kind of letting it loose today on today's episode. Just kind of going with my immediate gut reaction. My immediate gut reaction is, once again, the Padres are in the thick of turmoil and in the thick of, all of the questions that the naysayers bring up about their team, which is one of the reasons I talked about the loser and what I called loser energy from Manny Machado, from the Padres reacting to the bad call at the end of Game 3, just validating a lot of the concerns that people have had about them, right? Well, they're bratty, they're whiners and all that sort of stuff. That's what we got from last week. And this week, what we got is a further reiteration of all the pieces we've got these past few years, whether it be the Athletic story following the 2023 season, whether it be Kevin Acey's interview with Manny Machado and others following the 2023 season, whether it be 2021 when we got it was around the Rockies fiasco when they were trading away Arenado for nothing, and then people were bringing up the Padres and maybe they need to trade Manny Machado, all these sort of things. We've gotten our share of issues with the Padres clubhouse culture, but for me, this is a team that still made the playoffs. They won back-to-back 91 seasons. And I understand that the Dodgers fans don't understand that, there are other teams in Major League Baseball that have their own goals they're trying to accomplish, and that not everyone has the budget of 3 Avengers movies put together. But it's pretty surprising that just saying that out loud, winningest manager under AJ Preller, back-to-back 91 seasons. Yes, the team didn't show up, but I mean, it's a crazy position to have yourself in, right? And I don't know if this is an indictment at all on AJ Preller, on Manny Machado, Fernando, Tatis Jr., the clubhouse, right? Because all I had heard over the past year or so, over the past 2 years, I should say, actually, and this is from on the record sources and on the record, right? On the record, Athletic, all the stuff that you read there, and off the record sources, that Mike Shildt was a really good match. Right. So this is one of those things that now I'm wondering, are we going to get another one of those big articles from The Athletic? Right. Are we going to get another article that's like, hey, actually, Manny Machado, Mike Shildt fought fist fight, rock'em sock'em robots 7 times this year? I don't know. Right. I'm exaggerating for hyperbole. But what it does show is that it's just, I don't think anyone saw this coming. I really, really don't. Over the years, there have been a lot of Padres headlines. Right. I mentioned at the top of the show. I mentioned it in a YouTube short that I uploaded to the channel yesterday. The Juan Soto trade was crazy. The trading him away was crazy. The Blake Snell trade was crazy. The Mike Clevenger trade was crazy. The Trevor Rosenthal, the Adam Frazier trade, everything they've done. The fact that they traded Leo DeVries, right? Mason Miller, all that sort of stuff. The fact that they hired Bob Melvin. Bob Melvin was a surprise hiring. But this, to me, the retirement of Mike Shildt might be the most flabbergasted I've been covering this team for any sort of news, right? Yes, Sander Bogaerts was surprising because it was an 11-year deal and it was reportedly like 170 to 100 million more than the next best offer, and you already had shortstops on the team in 2023, right? So it was really surprising, but it's still, it's crazy Preller going for best available. This, it's like, I just did not see this coming. I really didn't. And for him to retire, I actually got someone who messaged me, a friend of mine, who was like, do we think he actually retired, or do we think he was forced out? Right? Do you think that they heard you and your complaints about him batting Luis Ariz second all the time, that they were like, you know what, man? They heard you. They said, we need a forward-thinking manager. I don't know. Because bottom line is, yes, I understand that there's a lot of criticisms with Mike Shildt. Many that we've made on this show for sure. Many that our guy Big Jim of the Postcast has made before. But bottom line is, it's not like we immediately know who the next guy should be. And the second point, dare I say the most important point, is this. This will now be, I believe, the 6th manager that AJ Preller, assuming he isn't gone too, by the way, which isn't like a guarantee. Remember, it's new ownership now. And you got the whole lawsuit thing with Shildt Seidler as well. Like, it's not impossible you lose AJ Preller, but if you don't, this will now be the 6th manager that you hire. And usually it's not a good sign if you're on that many attempts, right? If the New York Jets fire 19 head coaches, but it's the same GM since 2000, I'm making up the numbers, right? That usually means maybe you need a new GM too. Usually. I think the Padres are in an extraordinarily different circumstance. I did an episode last week about how I didn't want any of them gone. Either of them, Shildt or Preller, gone. But this news, man, it makes me question everything, and it should probably make you question everything too. But before we keep talking about it, guys, I need to take a quick break to talk to you about our sponsors, and one of them is FanDuel, guys. You know FanDuel very much. The NFL season's here, and FanDuel has you covered with offers you don't want to miss. With this one right now, new customers, let me tell you, you could bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, you like doing your parlays, or you like doing player props, or you just like the money line, or you like the point spread, whatever you want, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. FanDuel, go check it out. And just like that, everybody, we're back here on the Locked On Padres podcast. Thriving, not really. Vibing, not really either, but we are on today's show, guys. Remember to subscribe wherever you get your podcast from. Follow me on Twitter/X and Blue Sky at Javipeno, JAVIIPENO. My lord, man. My lord, I'm still reacting to this. I really still am. And a lot of you are reacting as well, which I'll get into in just a second. But I think that, you know, we're going to have, I'm going to do another episode tomorrow. We got to talk about, replacements and all that sort of stuff. Like, this is a huge, huge deal. I mean, it's possible that this is, like, we're overthinking it as well, by the way. Contrary to what I just said before entering the break, it's totally possible that Shildt was just a little bit unhealthy and he was old and he was like, you know what? I don't want to keep doing this. Like, that's totally possible, right? It's totally possible. But I think that when you look at the context of it being the Padres, how many managers they've had under AJ Preller, the poor results that they got this year, despite trading so much of their farm system, the fact that you lost round one, the hitting didn't show up, all that sort of stuff, right? I get it, but it is, I just can't believe it. I can't believe it. I really didn't think that this is the type of thing that would happen. It's possible that this is a good thing, right? It's possible. Right? Despite what again, contrary to what I just said about how usually if you're firing this many managers and you still have the same, upper leadership, it's not a good sign. That's totally possible too. But maybe what I said, not to toot my own horn whatsoever, but maybe what I just said, like a forward-thinking manager, maybe that's what they want. Maybe they want someone who might be a little bit crazy. Maybe they want a Gabe Kapler type. And I don't mean literally Gabe Kapler, but someone who's going to mix and match the lineup more, put things together in a different way, not have Arise bat second for the whole season when he's doing horribly, right? That's just a couple things. But I really just can't help but ignore all the extenuating circumstances with AJ Preller being now on his 19th manager, with the new ownership, with the desires to cut back payroll, with the lack of a farm system, with the bad loss that just transpired, with questions over the years about the Padres clubhouse culture, which granted I think sometimes can be chalked up to, well, obviously people aren't going to be happy. It's going to be a bad vibe if you lose. But all of that combined, I just... I'm like speechless. I really am. And we got a couple people responding, actually. We got my guy, Phoenix Ash, bringing up this in the comments section below, by the way. And everybody, leave your comments in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you guys. But Shildt said, what the actual bleepers? Shildt just retired. Finally, a manager I love. Back-to-back 90+, and he's just gone. After my initial shock at this, though, it makes me very concerned. Does he know that the Padres are going to go into fire sale mode this offseason? Are we going to start trying to tear everything down and start over? It would be hard to do with no trade clause and stuff, but I very much wonder if he saw the future and said no thanks. That's what I'm worried about, and that's the concern. And given what we know about the Padres, it has to be treated well, right? Not to sound like Batman when he's talking about the danger that Superman poses and he's compared for every contingency plan and all that, but we have to be prepared for the fact that this could be the first sign. Months from now, we may look back at this and say, that was the first time that ownership took over and said, we're actually going to scale back. We've got a CBA coming up too, right? Like, we've got a huge potential lockout coming up. I think this all plays into it, not necessarily with the Padres specifically, but plays into why I think Padres fans should be a little bit concerned. It's totally possible that they go out and hire Benji. I'm blanking on his name, right? That they just have another internal guy that they like. Maybe they go out and do something crazy and bring in a Joe Madden. Maybe they go out and bring in Gabe Kapler, right? Maybe they just promote Ruben Niebla from within, which would be, in my opinion, the first thing that I would think of doing, right? Or maybe it's just some other random manager. Maybe it's Bochy who just left, right? He just left the manager, the Rangers, right? Maybe he comes back. Maybe he low-key likes the Padres, and that's why the Rangers got rid of him. And then I don't know. I'm just spouting nonsense. But it is a nonsense team in a lot of ways, right? It's pretty nuts. It's pretty nuts. And also another comment from Ash before the news came out. Baseball is the biggest head game sport. If your mind isn't right, you will not be able to play baseball, and manager's number one job is to keep these ultra athletes working together and in harmony, and Shildt does it better than anyone I've ever seen. AJ was told to get ready and start winning in 2020. He's gotten 4 playoffs in 6 years. Tons of rumors that Bogey's contract and Manny's extension were Seidler's instructions/demands. Preller is doing what management told him to do and doing it extremely well. And more than anything else, what is a reasonable expectation to have for your GM? Playoffs more often than not. Wanting a World Series is fine, but firing a guy who is getting us into the playoffs in 666 of the seasons, winning percentage-wise, he was told to win. That would be about as dumb as a Dodgers fan. Heck yeah, I love the shot at the end there. I agree, man. And someone else mentioned at JDS Third says players can't be fired, unfortunately. Who hired Mr. Bagoo? I guess referring to Mike Shildt. And the 7 other managers we've had in the past 11 years, John Seidler hit the nail on the head. AJ has failed to meet the goal of winning the World Series his entire 11-year tenure. He tried, it didn't work, now it's someone else's turn. The goal is not 90-win seasons or wildcard rounds. That's a disservice to Peter's memory and legacy. He spent the money for the players. Now that he's gone, we assign his vision and success to AJ. AJ is a failure and has to go. Accountability starts at the top. The buck stops with him, and he has to take the fall. Again, all, like... the reactions can go either way, as illustrated just now. Like, the vibes on AJ Preller and company can go either way, right? And I also agree with what Ash said too. I agree with what my guy JD said as well. Like, I get the complaints. I will say, JD, with your point about, you're hired to win a World Series, that's a really high barometer and a high bar to set. And it's a little bit unfair to be like, guys, remember that this is still the Padres, right? Like, this is still a team that really hasn't been relevant before this year, right? And then someone else mentioned that too. At Victor Cortez 47 says, we have raised the bar, but prior to AJ, we were a minor league team, so let's be real. That's another thing to keep in mind, that, guys, the Padres were not a thing pre-2015. They were not a thing. They were a team. They were in the division with the Dodgers, but they had the fifth most clout of any of those teams. I'm being dead serious. Rockies were much bigger, and frankly, still in some capacity are a bigger historical franchise, right? The Diamondbacks won a World Series in 2001, right? And they had been pretty good before. They had some good big names, all that sort of stuff. And then obviously the Dodgers and the Giants, right? So it's still worth keeping that in mind. But I'm shocked. Guys, I'm really shocked. And I don't really know how to feel about it fully yet. Because I really do think that either perspective is fine, to be like, you know what, this is a sign we got to tear it down, or it's a sign that they will tear it down, or it's a sign that we got to get rid of Preller. I'm mumbling. I'm babbling. But that's all you can do when big news like this hits. Really, truly. And you can also answer questions, which we're going to continue to do, right? Another one commented at CaptFito100 says, it starts at the top with AJ Preller. I get it. I get it, right? The only thing that I don't get is this comment, and it's obviously from Dodger fans, but you guys know how my channel can be sometimes, and you know how the internet can be with these people sometimes. At Danzo67296, AJ Preller needs to go 11 years. AJ Preller needs to go 11 years, never winning the National League West once. The fact that he could have signed Dave Roberts in 2016 and went with Andy Green is all you need to know. Roberts and the Dodgers, who won the National League West 8 times, 5 World Series appearances, 2 World Series victories, blah, 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 blah. I think that the Dave Roberts... There's 2 things. Number one, Dodgers fans and baseball fans, prior to their winning in 2020 and in 2024, complained on Twitter, at least, and online, and they were talking every few minutes about Dave Roberts. So that's number one, right? So let's not act like there weren't questions with Dave Roberts at a time. And number 2, I really like the implication that it's not. That they spent $1.8 billion signing a demigod and Teoscar Hernandez and Tyler Glasnow, then the year after Blake Snell and Yoshinobu Yamamoto. No. It was Dave Roberts. This team is literally known for choking, guys. They had to spend $1.8 billion, not to mention the Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman signings over the past few years, because the Dodgers did not used to do the big signings. They would give some big signings, they'd get some big players, but they didn't go year after year getting the top guys on the market and just say, screw it, we don't care. That was not a real thing before, 2020, 2019-ish, around then. I'd say 2019, the Betts trade is really what started it. They just had some big players, and they would shell out some contracts, but they would do Glasnow, Teoscar types. They did not used to do those other ones, right? So, again, I just find it hilarious, the idea that it's not hiring Dave Roberts. That's the problem. If anything, if you think it's a hiring problem and we've had bad managers, then that should probably be a criticism directed towards AJ Preller, because he's the one making that decision of who to hire, and he's on, like, his 15th. So, that's just me. But we're not done yet, guys. We're going to respond to a few more questions and talk about what the podcast has going for it, planned going forward. Unlike the Padres, I do have an idea of what the future is going to be. But first, let me just take a second to talk to you about another one of our sponsors. It is our friends over at Monarch Money. Most people can't even name all their financial investments or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, whatever kind of investments you have. When you don't have the full picture, you can leave money on the table, and that's why Monarch Money is there. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money. And don't even worry about that spreadsheet, man. Say goodbye. You're good. Maximizing investments, increasing your savings rate, easily reviewing finances with your partner and or financial advisor. It's all possible with Monarch Money, guys. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com and in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off, half off your first year at Monarch Money with code LOCKEDONMLB. Go check it out. And just like that, everybody, we are back here on the Locked On Padres podcast, thriving and vibing despite it all, responding to more of your questions and comments. And some of these, most of these actually, taking place before the Mike Shildt firing, but retiring. My apologies. But feel free to leave more comments and questions. We're going to be answering them throughout the week. And it's going to be nuts. Not nuts, but it's going to be a big topic that I genuinely don't have an answer to just yet. But we have some more comments. This one from @JimJohnson724. Make AJ Preller president of baseball operations and hire a new GM with fresh ideas. Isn't he already president of baseball? I get president of operations and GM mixed up all the time, by the way. I feel like I hear it's with some, and it's kind of the same. I don't know. But anyway, with fresh ideas, I still take your comment, though, Jim. Because the only thing breaking down the Padres is, 1, bad long-term contracts, 2, depleted farm systems, and 3, ownership not willing to invest in free agents, maybe poach someone from the Rays organization. So here's what I do emphasize with your point that, like, AJ Preller, brilliant scout. He's amazing at scouting. Like, clearly, he finds guys all the time. He found Merrill, and he finds all these prospects that they use to trade for other players and proven talent, right? I empathize with your thoughts. That's like, we want to keep him, but maybe not in this role where he's shelling out all these big contracts and trading too much of the farm, right? I get that. I do. And someone from the Rays organization, I get it. That's a classic cliche to go to. I will say that Preller and the Rays have had some exchanges, so there's at least a working relationship there. He's clearly got more of a relationship with down in Texas. So again, Bruce Bochy, I wouldn't. It'd be weird. It'd be weird. I don't see it whatsoever. I really don't. But that would be. I'm just saying. My gears are turning definitely for possible hires. But I empathize with what you're saying, Jim, because I really do think that if you look at what the Padres have done. Look, 4 out of 6 playoff years, I get that. But also some people are like, hey, you did spend on a lot of free agents. You have to do that. And maybe, just maybe, it's worth saying, was that more impactful? And is AJ Preller, like, was a better, more tepid, cautious, let's say, manager, or GM, I should say. Is it possible they do better than AJ Preller? Where they have the money, but they also don't necessarily trade everybody every few seconds. It's possible, but not something that I can verify with certainty, right? Another comment we got. Also, we just got a lot of nice comments. Thank you, right? I don't have your username, sir, but it's Ethan Hessian. I forgot your name, but good objective analysis of Manny Machado and his current state. I can always depend on Javi to give me an unbiased viewpoint on these matters, and I really appreciate that. And I appreciate you. And I promise I wasn't making that comment up. I just, for some reason, YouTube, it didn't pop up the username. But thank you so much. And look, everybody go check out my player reviews I did for Fernando, Tatis Jr. and Manny Machado. Seems to be getting good feedback. I think a lot of you guys understood and got the points that I was trying to make. Dodger fans, don't include them obviously in the comments, but really appreciate that. We're going to be doing some player reviews for sure this week too. At least 1, maybe 2, depending on how scheduling works out, because I'm going to try to have some guests on the show as well to react to this big news. So it should be a lot of fun. And if you're wondering who's next, got to do Jackson Merrill next. Duh, right? Nick Pivetta, Luis Ariz, those guys coming up too. And yes, the Ariz one will be very entertaining, I promise you. Another one from which I liked, and this was in response to the loser energy at Jose Ayala 72730 says, Javi, relax, bro, you're gonna blow a gasket. And I get that. I did really lose it on the loser energy episode, especially when I also talked about the Dodgers fans who continue to peddle the theory that it's okay to throw beer and hit players with baseballs because you pranked or taunted, whatever verbiage you want to use, because Profar celebrated, right? Like, again, softest fans imaginable, and some of the softest fans in sports in general, baseball fans in general. Just, it's incredible, the stuff that they complain about. At Chase Leopold says, Javi, I may not have agreed with you on Tatis, but I loved your good bad on the Manny assessment. I appreciate your knowledge and breakdowns on these players. And FYI, I love Manny. Keep up the good work, with a bunch of exclamation points and the thumbs up emoji. Thank you, Chase Leopold. And also, genuinely curious what you disagree with on Tatis, because I think he's a really polarizing player in baseball, in the baseball community right now. So I'd love to know what your thoughts on that. And another one from at Taylor3342 with a cute doggo in the picture, by the way. With, it looks like an outfit that almost looks like the Padres City Connects, by the way. But commenting to boost you with the algorithm, love your background. Thank you. And I hope you guys like my background too. My weird books, my nine-tailed fox, my Stitch, my baseball pillow, and a baseball like bowl that I got that I love, by the way. I had Pikachu, I had the little Tatis bobblehead and all that stuff. So thank you. Gonna improve it, by the way, over the course of the offseason, because why not? Gonna try and add some more Padres gear, I think. Last comment I wanted to get into from Sean T. Painter, who has a little bit of beef with our postcast guy, and it's more relevant now. Javi, you are awesome. I love your analysis, even though sometimes I didn't agree with it fully. Cough, arise. I'm aware that a lot of people don't agree with me on Arise, but he says, at least you admit when you're wrong and don't stick it to the same harangue, even when it does not make sense. Like the postcast host Jib. Seriously, I only started listening to that recently, and it's borderline cringe. Most of the time I fast forward because, well, his endless rants about Shildt and Suarez irritate me. Referring to Robert Suarez, of course. Please, you need to call him out on his hate for Shildt. Name me a better manager the Padres have had. Maybe Bochy, but even Bochy did not lead the Padres to back-to-back 91 seasons. He came close, but had a losing season in between 96 and 98. And look, I am not a Shildt or Suarez or even a Rise loyalist. I am critical when I feel it's warranted, and they all have deserved criticism throughout the year, but this postcast guy doesn't even seem to give credit even when it's due. It's tiresome. Thank the Friar, the Sky, you are the main host. First of all, very mean to my guy. Very mean to my guy, Big Jim Grease, everybody. I think that the Shildt, it's really tough, because I do think that Jim made a lot of fair critiques of Shildt. But I do think that I agree, and I've talked to him about it, and we've talked about it on this show. We'll continue to talk about it. That's a little bit unfair following a wild card loss in which your offense didn't show up at all to still talk about Shildt, right? Like, I think that's weird. I know that maybe you didn't like some of the decisions he made there, but like, there's a difference between making like game losing decisions and you lost and you're like, wow, Rob Thompson, why'd you have the Phillies bunt when you were coming back? You gave them a free out and then you didn't win, all that sort of stuff. But then there's also moments like the Phillies pitcher who threw the ball away where it's like, I can't blame that on the manager. So again, it feels like scapegoating, but I'm with you to a degree, my man. I get it, and I'm going to talk to my guy Jim about it more, especially when he's on the podcast over the course of the offseason. That it's just a little bit much, and I don't agree with blaming Shildt for everything. And again, what's the common denominator if you want to blame someone? It would be AJ Preller, right? He's been there since 2015. He's hired all the GMs or managers, and it's not the manager's fault that he trades all the farm system stuff that they have. It's a hard way to build a baseball team sometimes, and it's hard. It's difficult, right? But there's also positives from it. So again, I know that this podcast today, this episode, might come across as a bit of a nothing burger in terms of, I don't know if I fully have a take on the situation. I have to think about it more. I was going to record like 6 episodes today and just bang them all out, but I really want to think about what I'm going to say for Shildt. But for sure, we are going to be talking about it. Just not on today's episode because we're running out of time, but who's going to be the next manager? Who are the potential candidates? Things to learn from the playoffs, I think, about maybe I've gotten some comments that are like, we should play more like the Brewers. Going to talk about that and more, and player reviews. So don't go anywhere, guys. A full offseason of content coming at you for the Locked On Padres podcast. And hopefully we won't be too late with the upload, but in this case, it was good that I was late because then the Shildt news broke. But until next time, everybody, stay safe. And of course, stay faithful. My Friar Faithful homies, take care.